welcome to our inaugural Sourcepass GOV Learning Series training webinar. Today's topic is going to be working as a team in Microsoft Teams, and we're glad you could join us today. For those of you that have taken part in the past, you'll know that our Sourcepass core team has been running Learning Series webinars for about a year about all things Microsoft, and we've spun up this specialty series specific to our state and local government and education clients to learn a little bit more about using examples that are applicable to their specific markets. So thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Dave Del Vecchio, the VP of Marketing for Sourcepass. I've been in the industry for 30 years and am happy to bring you exciting topics like the one today. Joining me in a few minutes is going to be Jolynn Wren. Jolynn is a 30-year experienced trainer and is a Microsoft Master Instructor. And if you've joined us for previous sessions, you know the value she'll bring to the topic. As I mentioned, this is the first of our Gov community-based training sessions, and we want to help you utilize the tools that you already have in order to get more done. This is open to any of our existing Gov clients. If you have friends that would benefit from these series as well, please feel free to forward invites. All guests are welcome. And in addition to our learning series, we do offer a separate digital transformation series of webinars that are available at the end of each month, where we dive a little bit more onto the strategic topics of IT planning and budgeting and expanding the use of technology within your environments. For this learning series that are targeted on the government SLED market, we have 3 topics scheduled for later in the year, including in June, September, and December. Keep an eye on both our sourcepassgov.com website as well as sourcepass.com, our course site, for more information. And we'd love to have you join us in future sessions as well. Regarding the digital transformation series, our next scheduled event is on March 26th, where we're going to be talking about the road to readiness, the key steps that are necessary to plan a Windows 11 upgrade project. As you may know, Windows 10 is entering its end of support lifecycle later in 2025, and we have many clients who are in the process of planning for replacing that technology before support access expires. So if you are looking for guidance on building an upgrade strategy, please join us for this session to learn more. A couple housekeeping items before we get started. If you have questions, the Q&A button is enabled for the session. Please feel free to enter the questions and we'll tackle them towards the end of the session. And following the session, you'll receive a survey in order to provide feedback on this topic, and you can potentially suggest other topics that you might like to see in a future session as well. So with that, thank you for joining us today, and I will turn the floor over to Jolynn, who will lead the presentation. Jolynn, the floor is yours.
Sounds good, Dave. And welcome everyone to our session. As Dave said, we will be working with our Microsoft Teams today, kind of figuring out what we can do with Microsoft Teams as far as working as a team. So it looks like my camera keeps popping in and out here. Hopefully that get itself back going here. All right. So when it comes to using Microsoft Teams, a couple of things that I wanted to mention before we get started is there's a lot of benefits to using this application called Microsoft Teams in any government type situation, whatever your job title happens to be. One of them is going to be secure communication. When it comes to working in really any of our Microsoft applications, we always want to be aware of security. So because this is a Microsoft application, they do have built-in security to help make sure that the data that you're using is being protected. And this runs a lot of different apps in the background. Know that all those other apps that are running within Microsoft Teams are going to be secure as well. We also have a lot of efficiencies when it comes to collaboration. Collaboration is kind of the key to using Microsoft Teams, and you're going to see, of course, today a lot of the different collaboration tools that we have available. So when it comes to the efficiency of using the collaboration, we're going to see on different workflow options that we have. We'll talk about doing meetings. We'll talk about, of course, working inside teams, which is inside teams, so to say. So we really want to kind of make sure that we understand some of those collaboration features and what you need to be aware of. Also, the integration with the other tools that are available through Microsoft 365, working with Microsoft Planner, the integration that we have with Outlook. We'll definitely cover that when we talk about using the calendar. But also it helps with supporting remote workers. So if you have remote workers, being able to use Microsoft Teams for collaboration can definitely be key, because you can be doing chatting. You can set it up so that people will know if you're working remote or if you're in the building. There's different settings that can be used for those types of things. So it has a ton of different benefits. So if you're not currently taking advantage of some of these features that we talk about today, you might want to put it into your plans coming up, your goals. But also, when it comes to the collaboration, there's really kind of 5 areas that I wanted to cover today. The first one is going to be talking about creating dedicated channels. So if you have the capability of creating a Microsoft team inside Microsoft Teams, we have the capability of being able to decide and use different channels to organize the information inside of the teams. And the thing about those channels is we want to make sure that we're using relevant channels. We want to make sure that the channels that are in the teams are being named appropriately. We're putting the right conversations in the right areas. We're really putting everything related to the name of the team into that channel. Everything that's related to the name of the channel goes to the right channel. It makes it so much easier to stay organized that way. We'll also be talking about utilizing the tabs in the apps. So when it comes to having additional tools inside those channels, like Microsoft Planner, which to me is a great tool to be doing task lists or using OneNote notebooks, etc. That will be another area we'll cover. Also leveraging meetings and video calls. Meetings, of course, are very essential to our everyday business. No matter what type of position it is that you have, most likely you will need to be in a meeting and or do video calls. So we'll talk about what the difference is and why you would use one over the other. Also, number 4 is going to be collaborative document editing. So when it comes to storing our files within our cloud-based applications like OneDrive, Teams, which is a SharePoint document library, or directly within SharePoint, of course, we want to be able to have those files available to our coworkers so that we can work together. So we'll talk about how that collaboration works. And the last one that we'll discuss today is using @mentions and the notifications that are available. I think it's really important to set things up to work with you. So there's a lot of notifications that you can get, but a lot of people don't realize you can control which notifications you are seeing and how you're actually seeing those. So we'll walk through a little bit of that. And then, of course, taking advantage of @mentions will be an important factor as well. So with that being said, let's jump into Microsoft Teams so that you can have an idea as to what exactly it is that you can do with this application. So our first topic, which is creating dedicated channels. So when you're in Microsoft Teams, on the left-hand side, of course, is going to be your navigation pane, and you can access your teams and your channels that you have available to yourself by going to the chat. Of course, that's the newest version of Microsoft Teams. So when we go to the chat, we can click channels so that we can see all of our teams and all of the channels inside the teams. So of course, when we talk about a team consists of members, owners, and guests that are working within each of the teams. And we organize things in channels to make sure that we have the data organized so that everything that we want to communicate about a specific topic or any files that we want to share about a topic go to that channel. Now, of course, there's different types of channels that are available. There's project-related channels that you could be using, department channels, policies and compliance channels. There could be emergency response channels, a lot of different things that we can be kind of creating for these channels to organize our data. But also there's different types of channels when we create a new one. So we can create a brand new channel by simply going to the team that we want to add the channel to. So let's say that I'm in the accounting department. And when I'm at my accounting department team, one way to create a new channel is to right click. Right click on the name of the team, left click on add channel, and it will bring you into a window where you would need to, of course, give the channel a name. Once you give the channel a name, like let's say because I'm in the accounting department, we have an invoicing group, a group of people that we want to organize everything related to invoicing. So I'll name the channel invoicing. But the thing about once you create a channel is you need to choose the channel type. And this can be an important factor to think about. So when you create a channel, everybody that's a part of the team, whether they're an owner, a member, or a guest, will have access to the information in that channel. So if you go to where it says choose a channel type, there's 3 different types you can choose when you create a new one. You can have a standard channel, which is available to everybody. You could have a shared channel. A shared channel is going to be a channel that you could share with people outside of the team. So let's say that I have a tax person. They don't need access to everything else in the accounting team. They only need access to this channel because it's going to be tax related. I could share it with that person or multiple people. So that would be a shared channel. But we also have private channels. Private channels are great for confidential information related to the name of the team, but not everybody is going to have rights to the private channel. A private channel, you choose who's going to be the members. So they have to be a member of the team to be a member of a private channel. So you have choices of what it is that you want. I'm going to say it's going to be a standard channel that everybody has rights to it. I'm going to simply click create and it automatically will add that channel to the team that I was in. So I have this new channel and what's going to happen by default is it's automatically creating the tabs at the top. So when we talk about maintaining your Microsoft Teams and making sure that you can work as a collaborative group, having the right channels is going to be very essential. Then the next step to that is having the right apps related to the channel you're in. By default, you will get 3 apps. They are called tabs at the top of the middle part of your window, kind of that right-hand side, the bigger side of your window. You will, of course, have the Post tab. The Post tab is where you can do communication directly related to the name of the channel. We also will see that we have a Files tab where we can put files, we can organize them in folders, things like that, so that everybody that needs to get to a file related to the name of the channel, this is where we want those to be saved at. And then by default, it's going to give you a OneNote notebook. If you click the name of the tab for notes, if you click the name of the, I should say, right click the name of the tab for notes, notice that it has this pop-up menu of different choices. You can rename it. So if you wanted to name this something different than notes, like you want to rename it invoicing notes, you could do that. Also, if you decided you don't want this as a tab for this channel, you could remove it if you wanted to. Just so you can see, you managed the tab by right-clicking. We cannot remove or rename the Files tab or the Post tab. So you can't right click and get a menu on either one of those. They are set there by default. But what about the other apps that you may want to have available for the team to use related to invoicing? And let's say that we're going to actually be working on a new invoicing process because we just got a new ERP system or a new accounting system, and we're going to set up a new process with that. And we're going to be assigning things, different tasks to the different members of this channel or this team. If we go to the plus sign up at the top of the tabs, we can see a list of the available apps that we could be adding to this channel. So you're going to see add a new app at the top, which is going to be your Microsoft apps. The most common besides the three that we get by default is Microsoft Planner. So if you click the Planner icon, you could give the planner a name. And then you can see, first off, it's going to give you get organized with Planner and Teams. I'm going to go ahead and say save. Then it's going to allow us to give the planner a name. You can always right click the tab at the top to rename it later if you wanted to, or to remove it. But basically, do you want to create a new plan, or do you want to use an existing plan that is a part of this group? I'm going to say create a new plan. I can choose from any of the templates that are available if I wanted to, or I could just start with a basic. So this is related to, being able to put together this process, and this is a project. So I think I'll choose the template for project management. And I'm going to choose the premium since I have a license for the premium project plan. I'm going to go ahead and use that and click at the bottom right, use template. It will automatically create the template. You can see it's giving it a name, and I'm just going to say PM tasks is going to be the name of this plan, and it's of course a part of the group for the accounting department. I'm going to click create, and we will have that name of that tab available for everybody to use. And because it's part of our 365, it has the full integration of working with other apps. So when you're working in Planner, you can work it in the app Planner all by itself, or you can utilize it directly here in the team through the app called Teams. And your planner task that you get assigned to will also be available in To Do, Microsoft Planner, and To Do for each individual. So it's pretty great that we have that capability of doing that. Now, some other tabs that you may want to be thinking about adding, if I go back to the plus sign to add in another app, just to kind of show you a couple of examples of ones that we use regularly, you're going to see up at the top, these are your Microsoft apps, but you can't see everything. If you click the See All, that will show you all of the ones that you have available. So if you wanted to add in a Microsoft list, you want to have a SharePoint page, you want to have the Teams store, you want to have Visio, whatever the case might be, you do have the option to add any of these. I can even add my Microsoft project, an Excel file, whatever you may need. So just so you can see, there's a big list. But if you have a third-party app that works with Microsoft Teams, you could add that to be a tab at the top as well. So you get a lot of different choices as far as what it is that you could be adding in. Now, I won't add any others in right now. I'm just going to go ahead and click close, but you would add in any of the apps that would be necessary for your team to work collaboratively together. Okay, so always kind of think about what's going to be best for the group. So it's kind of taking a minute for this planner to be created, but that's okay. We'll come back and talk about that here in a minute. But when it comes to, kind of making sure that you have the right information inside these channels, if you go to the Post tab, let's say that we added in an app, it automatically is going to post it so that everybody knows that we added that app. And When we talk about meetings in Teams, we have the ability of creating a meeting that will be connected to this channel. So I'll show you that in a moment when we get to the meeting options. But that's going to be the first topic that I wanted to discuss today. So this was all related to creating the dedicated channels, and then number 2, using tabs and apps so that we have availability of whatever it is that you need for your team to work together. It's all about teamwork. And we want to make it easy for everybody to have things available. Now, part of this is going to be the Files tab. So in this team, I'm going to go to the Files tab because we want to be able to have files available that are directly related to the name of the channel. So when we come into this Files tab, there isn't going to be anything in here by default, but you could always go to New to create a new file, or you could go to Upload. Upload would allow you to bring in files or folders or templates that are available someplace else. So I just did an upload and I said files, and I'm just going to navigate out to my computer and I'm going to find the files that I need for invoicing. So let's say that I have them out here in this focus, and I want this PowerPoint presentation and I want this Word document. I could select those files and click open, and it's going to automatically add them. Now, keep in mind though, it's making a copy of those files. So the original files are still in the original location. So you want to make sure that you get rid of them from the original location once you bring them into the Files tab. The Files tab here in Microsoft Teams is a SharePoint document library. So it does give you the full capability of using the SharePoint features for managing your files. I'm going to go to the Accounts Payable channel because I have a lot of tabs going across the top. So in this Accounts Payable channel, I have the Post tab, I have the Files tab, I also have AP Tasks, I have this Fill Safety Quiz, so that's actually a Microsoft form. I have an issue tracker, which is a Microsoft list. So just so you know, that could be something added in. I have this accounting department notebook. I have this AP project. So I have all these different apps that we could be utilizing. But here on the Files tab, this is where we want to store all the files directly related to accounts payable. So you can see I have this list of all these different files, and if I needed to go in and track or use any of these files, all I have to do is open the file that I want. Now the thing about this is this file is automatically shared with my coworkers. So if I go on my phone, so you can't see this very well, but if I go on my phone and I have a different user on my phone, I'm going to have that person go to the Accounts Payable, go to the Files tab, and I'm going to have this person open the same file that I have opened, this Excel file, so that you can see that multiple people can be in a file working together. So when I come in, maybe I want to be adding in the different months, and I want to be adding in some details to each of these months. Somebody else could be in this file working with me. We don't necessarily go to the same cells at the same time, but we definitely can work together. So I'm going to have my other user go to a cell on my phone here and make a couple of changes. So I'm actually opening it in the Excel app on my phone because it's much easier for me personally to work on that app. So I can see on my phone that everything that I just did on my screen shows up on my phone, and I could go to any cell and make changes also. So just so you know, If you have multiple people in a file at the same time, it lets you know who's in it. Now mine's a little bit slow, it looks like on showing, but every time someone opens a file, at the top right of your window, you will see their profile circle, so you know who's in that file with you. And you have the capability of being able to see exactly where they're at. So what cell are they on, that kind of a thing. So just so you know, it's an option for you to be able to do that. So I'm going to sign in. It looks like I opened the file as read only because I didn't sign in on my account here, but that's okay. I won't edit it at the same time. That's why my profile is not showing up as it should, but that's okay. I won't take time during our class to get that logged in, but just so you're aware, it's a great way to stay organized with having all these files available for all of your users in that same location. But you'll notice when I opened this Excel file through that team channel in that Files tab, it stays open by default in Microsoft Teams. So when you're done working on that file, you could go to the top right and click the Close button. That will close the Excel workbook, but keep you in the channel where you were. So it keeps me in the Files tab. And when it comes to managing the files that you're using with your coworkers here, you can always go to a file and right click. You can also go to the ... menu. But when you right click, you will see a pop-up menu of all the different features that you have available working with that file here in Teams. Now, I did mention that this is a SharePoint document library because every time a team is created, by default, it creates a SharePoint site for that team. And this is directly connected to that SharePoint document library, of course. But what you're not going to see is every menu command that we do have available in SharePoint. Although this is a SharePoint document library, as of today, we don't see every command. So what I'm not seeing is the ability to create an alert. I'm not seeing the option for creating a workflow. So we're missing a couple of different things, but down towards the bottom, I could check the file out. So if I want to open this file exclusively and not have anyone else in it when I want to work on it, I could check the file out. We can do that in OneDrive files, Teams files, and SharePoint files alike. But I want to see the same features that SharePoint offers because I want to use Alert Me or I want to use a workflow. I want to send this file for approval. So what I'm going to do is from this menu, I can choose Open in SharePoint. So I'm going to choose Open in SharePoint, and it's automatically going to open up the SharePoint site. Sorry, it was going to my other screen here, so let me slide that over. It's going to open the SharePoint site related to that specific document library for this team. So it's pretty great that we get that capability. So once it loads, it'll be there in a second, but once it loads, it's going to automatically give us the capability of being able to continue doing live collaboration, but it's also going to give us the options for utilizing all of the SharePoint choices. So sorry, I have to tell it which account I want to open that file in. So let me choose my account. And then once it opens up this file, it's going to show us the document library because it's taking us technically to the SharePoint site. And here's that same document library that you saw in Microsoft Teams. The only reason I might come here to SharePoint is to get the additional features I mentioned. So now if I go to that same file, this 2025 sales for company, if I do a right click now, I'm going to get a few extra features that I can use to help manage this file. And I feel they are important when we work as a team together. So from this menu, I could hesitate on automate. there is a built-in workflow that is called request sign-off. If I choose request sign-off, it's going to automatically be using the Microsoft Approvals app. In the background, it uses that. It's going to use email, and it's going to use Microsoft Teams. What it's going to do is notify the person that I enter as who I want to send this to. I can type in an email message to go along with the file, and I can ask them to approve or reject this file. They will get a link to the file, and then they can click approve or reject and put in some comments. So I'm going to say I'm going to just do it to myself so you can see how it works. I'm going to choose myself as the person to approve this, and I'm going to say, please review this file, and I would put in my email information. Down at the bottom, I would click Run Flow. It will automatically notify that person, whoever you put in, or it could have been multiple people. It will send them an email, and it's going to notify them directly in Teams. So let me go back to Microsoft Teams, and in my activity at the top left, I now have a red circle because I got something new. If I click on my activity, it shows me that Jolynn Reen sent a request, and on the right-hand side, when I click on it, it's going to show me the content of the message that I had typed in, and it gives me a link to the file. So I would click on the link, I would review the file, then I would come in and I could add in my comments right here in this window and choose reject or approve. But what's happening in the background with this is in that SharePoint document library. So if I come back here to the SharePoint document library, notice in this column, it's got this column here for approval. It's showing that this file is pending approval. Previously, I had done this file and it was rejected. So this approval column automatically is added for you to see. So if I go back into Microsoft Teams, let's say that I already reviewed the file and the file is good to go. I'm going to say the file is good to go. Please distribute this file, whatever the case may be. I would put in any of the information that I need for that person to see. Then I'm going to click the button for approve. There's an email notification and a notification in Teams letting them know that it was approved. Also, it's going to update the status back in the document library in that column approval. So that to me is one of the features that I really like, but we have to go to SharePoint to utilize it as of today. But what it's showing me here in my activity right now is it's showing me my approval app. Because that was available through the approval app, it automatically switched me over to that app, and I can see the status of this app or this file that was sent to me for approval. So it gives me the full capability of seeing that app here directly through Microsoft Teams. I don't have to jump through hoops to, get back to an approval window, get back to Excel, go to email to get this. I can stay right here in Teams. I don't have to leave Teams to do all of these activities. I call Teams, Microsoft Teams, my front end program, because it gives me all these different capabilities without leaving that application. It's the front end to all these other Microsoft apps. With that being said, I'm going to go back to the team again. I'm going to go back to my chat. I'm going to go back to that accounting team. I'm going to be in that file tab again. And just so you could see, I could be working on things here, but I do still have that open in my SharePoint. This document library is still in my SharePoint. One more thing that I wanted to mention, because let's say that in this document library, excuse me, I got a tickle. In this document library, we have a person in the accounts payable group that is responsible for these files. And let's say that it's me. I'm responsible for the, making sure that these files don't get accidentally deleted. They if somebody adds a new file, I want to know, or if somebody makes changes to a file that I created, I want to get an alert. It is a workflow that is built in to working with your files in a document library. We can set up alerts for the entire document library or for individual files within the library. I want to set up an alert for the whole document library because I need to know if things happen. A file gets deleted, etc. How we do that is by going to the SharePoint document library. Unfortunately, we can't do that in Teams, but as of today, but the menu is across the top. If I go to I can't see it going across the top, so I'm going to go to the more items on the right-hand side, and I'm going to go to where it says Alert Me. This is a built-in workflow that we don't have to create. Microsoft gave it to us as a menu option. I'm going to click on Alert Me. It's going to take me into a window where I could name the alert. I could be emailing, be emailed the information when someone makes a change to it, or I could go into change the type of alert I want to be notified of and how often I want to receive the alerts. The alerts are going to come in an email. So it's directly connected to Outlook. You will be notified if anybody makes any changes. Once you're done making the changes here, you simply click OK and it will automatically have that alert set up. So the workflow is created, it's ready to go. So now if any files get deleted, like if I go to any of these and I delete a file, I make any changes to a file, I add a new file in, I'm going to delete a file just so you can see that I could do that. If I right click on the name of the file, I'm going to click delete. Yes, I want to delete this. That file is now deleted and I get a notification letting me know that that's happening. So if I go to my Outlook, I'm going to slide my Outlook screen over here so you could see what I was talking about. So first off, I have my emails that are related to that approval, because I was notified in Teams and notified in Outlook. And let me go here and you can see that the alert was set up. And in a second, it will send me an email letting me know that a file was deleted. So it's pretty great that we have that capability of having that full connection going back and forth from Teams to SharePoint, Teams to Outlook, Teams to Planner. We have all of those different options we can be using together. So that was really kind of ending that number 2 with using tabs and making sure that the apps are available that we need to have for everybody to work together inside our teams. Our next topic is going to be leveraging meetings and video calls. When we are in Microsoft Teams, one of the most commonly used features besides Teams, inside Teams, is to do meetings like we're doing here today. This is a Teams meeting. On the left-hand side, when we go to the calendar, this is going to be one way to create a meeting. So if I want to have a meeting with other people, we have the new Outlook calendar here, by the way. Outlook and Teams use the same calendar now. So if you haven't slid that button over at the top right here in Teams to say new calendar, I highly recommend you do that so that when you are creating events, whether it's in Outlook or here in Teams, it works the same. There's only going to be some differences in Teams when we create a different type of event, but a standard Teams event can be done from Outlook or in Teams, because we have that full connectivity back and forth. But let's say that I want to create a new Teams meeting for Friday. I can simply go to Friday, choose the time I want the meeting to be, or right click. I could click once, or I could right click, or I could go to the top right and click new event. It's going to give you a window, a small window, to put in what the meeting is going to be. So what is going to be the the subject of the meeting. I'm going to say that it's going to be a department. Well, actually, let me do it based on, it's going to be a finance meeting, and I want to invite student 1 to join me. And it's going to look for suggested times. So it's reading the calendars of your coworkers to make sure that we are putting it on a time that everybody that you invite is going to be available. It does that in Outlook, and it now does it in Microsoft Teams as well, which is right here in this meeting window. I don't have to go to a tab at the top of the window anymore to do that. It's here all the time. And I could say that this is a Teams meeting by sliding the button over to say it's a Teams meeting. Down at the bottom, I could put in a description, is what the meeting is about. And I'm going to click more options at the bottom right. At the bottom right, when I click more options, I have the capability of coming in and getting more menu choices, which at the bottom includes an agenda. If you click add an agenda, it uses what is referred to as a loop component, and it allows you to put in your agenda items. We can add in notes from the meeting, and we can be adding in tasks that can be assigned to people that we invited to the meeting. So that can be done, set up beforehand, it can be done during the meeting, and it can be done after the meeting. But the agenda items I usually put in before I start the meeting. And what's going to happen is once the meeting is, we join the meeting, it automatically will open a pane on the right-hand side for the meeting notes. It's going to show you the agenda, it will have the meeting notes area, it will have the task area. So we're going to have all of this readily available when we start the meeting. Fantastic that we get that capability. But normally when you create a meeting, of course, you go to the send. So if I click send, it's going to automatically send that meeting invite to the person or people that I invited. But what if I want to do a meeting that's related to a channel? We don't do it directly from that same menu anymore like we used to in Teams. Now we go to the top right, click on the drop down arrow next to new event. From here, we can choose channel meeting. Channel meeting is a great teamwork type of tool that we can use because it can be directly connected with everyone in that channel. So whoever is members, owners, or guests of the channel, they can get automatically invited. So a little bit different on the screen that you're seeing, we've got some additional choices. But let's say that this is going to be accounts payable, department meeting, and I'm not going to put in who's required to attend, because what if I had 20 people? Oh, sorry, it opened on my other monitor here. You're not seeing this window. I don't put in who I want to attend because I'm going to go down to where it says add channel. From here, I'm going to say it's in the accounting team and it's the accounts payable channel I want to connect this to. When I do that, it gives me this option on the right that says send personal invites. It will go and invite everybody that is a part of that channel. To me, that is fantastic. I don't have to worry about missing anybody by manually doing it. Take advantage of this automation. Also, as you can see, you still have the capability of doing your details. You can also go in and add an agenda. So once again, if you start that meeting, it will have the meeting options and your agenda topics already entered and ready for you to use. Now, of course, once I'm done with this, I click send. It's located at the top right now instead of the left, but same difference. We can click send and it will automatically send the individual invitations to all of those people that were a part of that channel. I think those are fantastic. We also have, just to kind of round out the kind of talking about these meetings, at the top right, when you click that down arrow, besides doing a channel meeting, we also have webinar capabilities where people can register for the webinar. You can have multiple speakers, you can have co-organizers, you can put in bios of your speakers. It keeps track of everybody that is registered. It has built-in reports. We also have town halls. We have virtual appointments, and then you can also view all. So depending on the type of event you want to do, you can choose from that drop-down menu. Now, of course, when you go to run the meeting, like we're having here today, you can have the capability of people turning on and turning off their cameras, turning on and turning off their microphones. You could be sharing your screen. Someone can be going into the meeting notes and entering in the meeting notes. There's all kinds of things that can happen. We can record them. We can record the meetings. We can also be doing transcription with our meetings. Then we can use Copilot during the meetings as well. So that if we want to have Copilot do a recap after the meeting, or I want Copilot to answer questions about the meeting, what happened during the meeting, we have all of that capability. So I can't start a meeting because I'm already in a meeting with Teams, so I can't start a meeting to show you, but you're in this Teams meeting, and so you can see your menu going across the top of your different features you have available. Great options. But when it's that channel meeting that I was referring to. So if you create a channel meeting like I did with this AP department, that meeting, once it starts, it automatically is going to show in the channel. So if I go back to the channel for accounts payable, it's going to notify everybody in the post tab that the meeting has started, gives them a link to join from there. Also, it's going to give a video camera next to the name of the channel, and they know the meeting is going on because they see that video icon, and they can click that to join the meeting as well. Lots of ways, of course, to join a meeting. So meetings are a very big part of using Microsoft Teams. So definitely take advantage of these tools that you already have. Kind of as Dave was saying at the beginning of our session today, when he had mentioned, we want you to be using the applications you already have. And Microsoft Teams gives you so many things in one application. We also have, just so you're aware, there's calls that you can do. So let's say that you were in Microsoft Teams and you were doing a chat with a coworker. So here in Microsoft Teams, I'm going to go to chat. I'm going to click the icon at the top for chat, and I'm chatting with a coworker about a subject. So I come in and I have my chat, and I could be communicating back and forth with that person. But sometimes we're going to get to the point where we might want to just talk to that person. I don't call people on my phone when I want to do that, because what if I want to share my screen, or we want to record and we want to have a video call, not just a phone call? We could do it directly from a chat. We could do it from the calls category on the left. We could do it from an email. There's a lot of different ways to actually start a call. If you go to the top right of a chat, I could call the person I'm chatting with by going to the phone receiver at the top right. I'm clicking on the drop-down arrow. I could do a video call or just an audio call. If I started as an audio call, we could also turn our cameras on after the fact, just so you're aware that you could do that. But this is a great way, and once again, I can't start this because I'm already in a Teams, but the only difference that you're really going to see when you're in a call is the fact that you will not get the meeting features. The meeting agenda, those types of things will not be available when you're on a call. But you could share your screen, you could be recording the call, you could invite other people to join the call just like we can with the meeting. It just doesn't give you the capability of having the meeting notes, which to me, that's okay. I really like that capability. I use calls all the time. Now, of course, your organization could have Teams calling set up where instead of having a phone at your desk, a lot of organizations are switching over to Teams calling, where it is your phone. You could go to the calls category on the left-hand side and do calls directly from there. You could be dialing numbers. You could have contacts that you have listed. You could forward your calls to voicemail so that if somebody calls you and they don't answer, it does automatically go to voicemail. Just so you're aware, it does do that. So take advantage of these features here in Microsoft Teams. It's pretty awesome that we have these options. Now, we did already talk about number 4, which is collaboration. Having that live collaboration, I decided to kind of put that in when we were talking about the Files tab and working with SharePoint document libraries. So that was going to be our number 4, but we already covered that topic. So I'm going to jump to our last one, which is number 5, which is using things like chat and app mentions. When it comes to the chatting capabilities that we have in Teams, I'm going to go back to chat, and then I'm in the chat category already. Let's say that I know that student 1, who I'm chatting with right now, isn't available. Now, how would I know that that person isn't available? Well, if I look at their profile circle anywhere, it shows me their availability in that green circle tells me that that person is available right now. If it's red, they're on a do not disturb or busy, so don't try and chat with them. Well, what if this person is actually out of the office? I would know that by looking at their profile circle as well. So what if I type in a chat and I want to send it later? I type in my chat, I can go to my send at the bottom right of the chat, but instead of clicking send, I'm going to right click. From the right click, I can choose the date I want to send it and the time I want to send it. So if I know this person isn't going to be available until this date at this time, I don't want to send it to them now. I want to send it to them when I know they're going to be looking at their computer. So I'm going to click continue after choosing the date and time. Now I'm going to click send. I could have done more to the chat, but then when I click send, it's going to send on that day. So I have it set up for tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. It's going to send then. So it's just like we can delay the delivery of an email. We can also be delaying the delivery of a chat. I think that is a great option to have. Now, when you're looking at your chat options, down at the bottom right, you have different icons. You could do some formatting, emojis, that kind of a thing. But I'm going to click on this plus sign at the bottom right. From this pop-up menu, you could attach a file to a chat. You could also schedule the message when you want to send it from here. You can also set delivery options, put in a recorded video clip that you could record right now and it will attach it. You could schedule a meeting. Look at all these different options that you have. So let's say that throughout this chat, I know a couple of months ago, this person sent me a file in this chat. If you look at the tabs at the top of the chat window, we have a tab called Shared. Shared is going to show you any content that was shared in this chat history with this person. So I can see files, I can see links that were shared. So if I click the files, it shows me just files that have been shared in this chat. It makes it so much easier to work together as a team and be able to easily get to the information that we need. So use the tabs up at the top when you are inside a chat. But the other option I wanted to talk about is the capability here in Teams of @ mentions. An @ mention is a way that you can mention to draw attention to a person. Whether it's in an email, it's in a different application, if it's in a chat, if it's in a post, there is a category here under chat for @ mentions. And I don't have any personal @ mentions that were sent to me right now, so I'm not seeing any in there. But you will also get notified in the activities tab, if somebody does an @ mention to you. So if anybody mentions my name, I will automatically get notified here in activity. So I'm going to go back to chat and I'm going to go to channels. In this accounts payable channel, I'm going to go to the post tab and I'm going to mention a coworker so that they can see the post right away. So I'm going to click start new post, and in the typing, well, I'll put in a subject first, announcement, and then I'm going to click in the typing area and I'm going to do an @ symbol, and it allows me to choose who's available within this team. I can't mention people that are not part of this team, but I'm going to say I want to mention student 1. It adds student 1, then I can continue to type in my details, and when I am done, all I have to do is post this. They will automatically get the notification in Microsoft Teams, in the activity, and they get notified in email. They get notified all over the place. It will automatically let them know that they were mentioned. It really helps to draw the attention to that person. So you can use @mentions in a lot of different places. Just so you're aware, you could do that. You can even @mention an entire channel. You can also create custom @mentions for groups of people. So if you wanted to have everybody for accounts payable be in a @mention together, instead of having to individually @mention 3 people, I could create a group one. If I go to my team, or my channel, I should say, I'm going to go to my accounting team here, and I'm going to say manage team, because this gives me my choices across the top, and I can go into tags. That's where you can create these. So I have this tag called accounts payable that can have multiple members, and I have this social media, so I could do an @mention of social media, and it's going to automatically @mention 2 people, just so you could see that we have that. So as I've shown you today, there are a lot of benefits for really working as a team together in this application, appropriately named Microsoft Teams. So Dave, let me send it back to you to close out our session for today, and hopefully you picked up on a few tips today as well.
I did actually. We were pretty early adopters of the Teams platform, and for a lot of times, we've been using it on a regular basis for years. I mean, pre-pandemic, and sometimes it's the simple things that you pick up where it's just right. I never knew you could right-click on the send button to be able to schedule your chats. Like, simple stuff like that can be a game changer sometimes, especially if you've got people working different shifts and so forth, and you don't want to necessarily send them a message after hours, and so that you schedule it to be right, have them receive it maybe 5 minutes after their start time the next day or something.
Their schedule.
So simple. I mean, I knew it was in the drop-down menu, but I never knew you could simply right-click because there's no real prompt to do that. That's awesome.
Love the shortcut of right-clicking.
Absolutely. And so, like always, received some nuggets of knowledge we didn't know in advance. Just to let everybody know, you don't have to let the training end today. If you find you have any questions after this session and you want to pick up the discussion from where we're leaving off, feel free to reach out to your client success manager, or you can always send a note to events@sourcepass.com, and Kat and I will point you in the right direction to hopefully get your question answered.